In light of that answer, I seek leave of the House to table the personal vote record for the purchase age vote on the Alcohol Reform Bill that indicates a vote of 18 years from Mr Key.
Order. I think the member has made his point, but we don't table stuff that's actually in the journals for members. Question number 7, Darien Fenton.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Order. I've called Darien Fenton.
Due to the Minister of Labour, how will an employer know whether a job applicant aged 18 or 19 has been receiving a benefit for 6 months or more in order to pay the government's starting out wage?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Labour, I'm advised that eligibility will be a matter for discussion between the job seeker and the potential employer.
Point of order.
I'm sorry to be unhelpful to the Minister, but there was total silence in the House then, and I know you and I were both straining to hear the Minister. Could we ask him just to speak up a little and give the answer?
If the Minister could use a slightly more robust voice, it would be helpful. The Honourable Tony Ryle.
On behalf of the Minister of Labour, I'm advised that eligibility will be a matter for discussion between the job seeker and the potential employer. The young person will be able to provide verification from WINS. The starting out wage is another tool that will help young people get work in this competitive job environment, and it pays the same rate as the new entrance wage introduced in 2008 by the previous Labour government.
Darien Fenton.
Supplementary to the Minister, will employers be able to advertise that a specific job will only be offered on a starting out wage?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr Speaker, I don't expect that would be the case. As is the situation now, employers take those matters into consideration when they make their employment decision.
Darien Fenton.
Be aware that the Human Rights Act prohibits employers discriminating on the basis of employment status, which includes receiving a benefit, and that as such the Human Rights Commission advised to employers not to ask job applicants whether they've been receiving a benefit in order to avoid unlawful discrimination.
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
Mr Speaker, I am aware of that, and I think that's why a number of and this is nothing new, employers often are able to determine whether people are eligible for various subsidies or support programs, and employers ask whether there is eligibility for these matters in terms of their employment choice. They need to be aware of their legislative requirements as well.
Darien Fenton.
How can she claim that the starting out wage will not be compulsory and is negotiable when an 18 or 19-year-old receiving a benefit who does not accept a job on the starting out wage faces the penalty of having their benefit cut for 13 weeks?
The Honourable Tony Ryle.
On behalf of the Minister of Labour, those sanctions apply to people on a benefit whether or not they were going to be applying for a job under the starting out wage. Clearly, if a person on taxpayer support is able to take a job for which they have been offered and they turn it down unreasonably, then they should be subject to sanction. The same will apply to this.
Question number 8, Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Social Development. What announcements has she made on the new children's teams which form part of the government's white paper on vulnerable children?
Mr Speaker, last week I announced the first of 2 children's teams to be piloted, the first one being based in Rotorua. We are bringing together key frontline professionals who will work with vulnerable children, as they are the ones that work with these families. They know them and have the information to see a whole picture. An individual plan will then be designed around the child, and one lead professional will be responsible for ensuring outcomes.
Tim
McIndoe.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. How will these children's teams work locally to protect vulnerable children?
Mr Speaker, the new teams will be made up of local education, health and social sector professionals to respond to the needs of these vulnerable children. This will build on the work that's already there. These teams take this to the next level of child protection, ensuring single, multi-agency plans are put in place for each child. When fully implemented through a predicted tool, will also mean that we're getting to them before they are abused or neglected.
Tim McIndoe.
Further supplementary. What leadership and accountability will there be to ensure these vulnerable children are protected?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker,